Friday, January 30th, 4:30 p.m. New York time. Welcome back, investors, to Winning Wall Street's Money. Today was the last trading day of the month, the first month of this year. We already had the earnings coming in for large companies the past several days. Also had lots of economic data come out this month. United States has increased the deficit to all-time new high. We don't collect enough tax revenue to pay for the government spending, so we sell U.S. treasuries, creating debt and paying interest on that. We only pay the interest on the debt. We're not paying any more on top of that. That's not a healthy economy. Now let's go look at the top down. Since we just finished the month, the major stock indexes and the monthly candles identify what direction the trend is. The S&P 500, 10-year chart. Trend is up, higher high, higher low. We finally took out the high of last year. Let's remove that. What draws my eye very suspiciously here is this monthly candle. Very small trading range. The high and low of it represents all the price ranges. Big difference than these past months. Remember, last year, that green candle was January. Went up a little higher and then sold off. The NASDAQ 100. We are still below the highs of last year. It's even weaker than the S&P 500. It also closed what's referred to as a dodgy candle. That is suspicious. The prior candle was also a dodgy candle. Often represents the location because it happens to be on the top. More likely distribution. Smart money selling. Weak hands buying. Time will tell. Again, we still are below the highs of last year. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, all-time new high. The trend is up. Higher high, higher low. Also smaller trading range and a big wick on the top. The Dow Transports, yep, new high. Look at that big green candle. Big body. Dow Utilities, inverse. Took out the lows of last year. Sorry, took out the lows of last month. The trend is down. Lower low, lower high. Still below the highs of last year. And the Russell 2000. Yeah, higher high, higher low of strong. The Russell 2000 is not part of the S&P 500. All these other indexes I showed you are inside the S&P 500, not the Russell 2000. So since today is Friday, let's go also look at the weekly candles. This is a 5-year chart, S&P 500. There's a gap here that has not been filled yet. This was a major demand zone. See how it plays out in the near future. This week, all-time new high. And look at that, little dodgy candles up here, that red one, and this past week. Even on the S&P 500, when I break it down to this lower time frame, it's looking more like distribution. Smart money selling. Weak hands buying. NASDAQ 100. Look at that bearish pin bar. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average on the weekly candle, inside candle. Wow, look at these last 3 weeks, small little bodies. Looks like churching going on here, distribution. Depending on how we break out from the weekly and the monthly, potential reversals coming in soon or continuation on trends. But anyway, breaking out of those, that's a nice single for trade ideas. The Dow Transports, inside candle for the week. Wow. Again, small 3 bodies on these past 3 weeks. Dow Utilities. Yeah, building consolidation over here. Higher high, higher low. Broke above the inside candle there. Yep. Building a wedge here. Again, high dividends the utilities pay. So maybe people may be buying these as defensive. But this is suspicious again. Again, huge impulse move down. Midpoint got tested. And lower highs. And the Russell 2000 weekly. Yep, reversed. Went right back into this imbalance area. That's why I have a potential trade idea. Let's go to the 11 sectors in the S&P 500. Do the monthly, and then we'll go down to the weekly. 10-year chart, technology. Closed red for the month. Again, small body. Still below the highs of last year. Again, this is technology, very similar to the NASDAQ 100 index. Healthcare. Wow. All-time new high and forming a bearish pin bar. Financials, same thing. New high and sold off. Consumer discretionary. Green, higher high, higher low, the little bodies. Another suspicious right here. Oh, look at all these little bodies up around here. Big wicks on the top and bottom. Communication services, all-time new high. Took out the high of last year. Nice. Let's remove that. Again, communication services. So that's the new high, taking out the high of last year. Yeah, very strong sector. Stock symbols, stock symbols, X-ray, Lima, Charlie. Opportunities to invest in strength. Industrial, also new high, up strong. And consumer staple, huge move up, still below the highs of, still below the highs of 2024. It's not leadership. Energy, yep, new high. Again, just like the utility sector I showed you. So apparently a lot of money went in here buying these stocks because they pay high dividends. They're not expecting growth. People want to go to defensive stocks. Another potential warning signal that you may have a sell-off in the big stock indexes. And utilities, lower low, lower high. And real estate, no surprise. Materials, up strong. That was a monthly. Let's take it down to the weekly. Each chart is 5 years, weekly candles. Yep, technology. Bearish pin bar. Wow, looks like a lot of distribution occurring over here. Healthcare, inside candle. Financials. Small little trading range down there. Trend is down. And consumer discretionary. Big consolidation over here. Communication services. And we took out the highs of last year of strong. Again, leadership shown right here. Oops. Industrial. Well, look at these weeklies. 2 inside candles back to back after that big strong move up. Little bodies, potential reversals. Consumer staples since the beginning of the year up strong. And energy. Oh, new high. Strong. Utilities. Big consolidation down here. And real estate. Yep. Nothing impressive here. Okay. Bullish pin bar. Lower highs, lower lows. Having a hard time. We'll see if it's going to get a reaction. What I mean by that is, again, big wick on the bottom, a lot of buyers stepped in there, is going to have a continuation, or is going to fill somewhere up over here. And materials, new high, and then sold off. Again, the S&P 500 daily. So all those sectors I just showed you are inside this index. You can buy this stock index, or you can buy the sectors to try to outperform the S&P 500. Thank you as always. Spend just a little time with me. That's it for the video. Thank you for watching.